Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this new episode. Really happy that you are here. And I'd also like to say thank you for listening. Every single week, there are more and more listeners. So I want to just thank you from the bottom of my heart. It means so much to me. And if you ever do have any subjects that you would like me to talk about on the podcast, don't hesitate to send me an email. I will be more than happy to address them. Today, I want to talk a little bit about things that I teach my clients, and there will definitely be some takeaways and things that you can apply directly to your life today. But I did want to back up and just take a bigger picture view of how I work with clients and why what I do I find is extremely different than other leadership coaching and why this should matter to you. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this today is because I've had a lot of conversations recently with potential clients and new clients. And a lot of people come to me because they are struggling with a very concrete problem. That could be, for example, maybe they're having constant conflict with a peer. Maybe at meetings they're being talked over. It could be visibility is a big issue. Some of them are being seen as too nice and getting passed up for really important or really interesting jobs. So a lot of people come to me with a very concrete problem. And there are definitely strategies to work on those problems. And a lot of the people and the women that I work with have been exposed to coaching at some point in time, but they are coaching only once a month or maybe once every 6 weeks with their coach. And what I do is very, very different. I work with women for 6 months, and there is a reason to that. And I'm going to go into that in a little bit more. But the fundamental reason why I think it's really important to work intensely with clients is because I want my clients to have a major transformation. I think if you decide to ever work with a coach, whether it be me or somebody else, that is the most beautiful gift that you can give to yourself is lasting transformation. And that is why I work with my clients intensely. I work with my clients, most of them for 6 months. It is the first 2 months is weekly, and then we go to twice a month. And I have a very structured program. And the reason why I've structured it like this, it's based on all the work that I've been doing with clients over these past 2 years, and also my almost 30 years as a manager and a leader. I have a foundational part of how I work with clients, and then 3 major pillars. And today, I'm going to talk specifically about that foundational part, because even taking away from today's episode 2 or 3 nuggets, I guarantee will change how you show up at work and will directly influence your experience at work and how you lead. So we're going to talk about what I do specifically, but why it's important to you and what you can do today. And so, as I said, there are strategies that I work on with clients, but that is at a later date. I always start with very foundational work, the relationship that you have to yourself. That is the most important work that you can ever do. And a lot of times we are focusing on the relationship that we have with our husband or our girlfriends or our family or our children. But do you spend time on that relationship with yourself? When was the last time you did work on loving yourself and accepting yourself deeply? And the reason that this is so important is because it shows up in everything that you do, whether that be at work or at home. And It's important also because I find that women are unconsciously holding ourselves back. And the reason that I do this work with so many women is because organizations need you. We absolutely need women in positions of power, making decisions, and leading change in their organization. But there are things holding women back that we subconsciously grew up with, and we don't even realize that it's there. I love to think about it as background music. Like we have often this background music playing in our head, and we don't even know it. So that's what we're going to talk about. And that is the first thing that I teach my clients. It is recognizing what that background music is. And most often, that is showing up through self-judgment. We are judging ourselves, we are judging our capability, and we are coping with that judgment through self-sabotaging behaviors. So it can be as simple as this background music is things like, I'm never going to be able to figure this out. This is unfair. Why is this so hard? I didn't agree to this. Okay. And I'm the first one that was guilty of this. When in my last job where I was the CEO and I was managing things like navigating COVID, decreased sales, team members leaving, reorganization, economic things going on in the world that we couldn't control. And when I realized that my background, it's like a radio, that radio station had been set to thoughts like, Karen, you're not smart enough. You're never going to be able to figure this out. That is when we put into place, we're in victim mode. We avoid things. We over-control. We micromanage. We're restless and can't stay focused. So that is absolutely the first thing that I work on with my clients, is recognizing where there is self-judgment and how that coping mechanism, and everybody has different coping mechanisms. For me, it was overworking. It was also emotional eating. Those are my coping mechanisms. It's recognizing it. And people do not realize how much they are judging themselves until we actually sit down and talk about it. And those are things that I teach my clients, is how to recognize that. And once we recognize those patterns, then we put into place a strategy to work with them. And that strategy is very simple. We consciously decide how we want to react, how we want to act, how we want to think about ourselves, about the situations or other people. And that is where your power lies. Because so often we are in judgment of everything around us and ourselves. But taking your power back, recognizing that you are judging yourselves, and there is something that you can do about it, that is 100% the key to deep, lasting transformation. And that's why also I work intensely with people over that first foundational period. It is 8 weeks. Because it takes, even as I say that, 8 weeks is actually not that long, but it takes time to recognize, when am I judging myself and how am I going to react? And that is also what we learn in those first 8 weeks, is not only recognizing that judgment, but learning how to respond. And there are 5 different strategies that I teach my clients. So that is what we do over the first 8 weeks. And it sounds very, very simple, but a lot of other coaches, and I'm not saying that this is bad, I'm just saying that this didn't work for me. If they are having a conversation with you once every month or once every 6 weeks, I find that the transformation doesn't go quick enough. I am looking to support my clients to go deep and to go fast. And that comes from doing the work. And it comes from having awareness, taking action, changing your thoughts, and getting coached on it. Trying different strategies, having thoughts about those strategies, getting coached on it. It's about changing your self-beliefs. It's about stopping that judgment or reducing it and putting into place different strategies and getting coached on it. Because it's not just having one conversation that is going to change everything. And that is what I teach you. And that is why that those first 8 weeks are so important. So, in summary, that foundational period of how I work with clients is totally different from everything else I've seen on the market. We learn to recognize, you will recognize how to talk to yourself, why it matters, and how to choose and how to react differently. So there are already some things that you can do today. So the first thing to do is to get a piece of paper and just simply write down 10 thoughts that you are having about yourself. That is the first and the easiest way to create awareness around what you are thinking. And for most people, they are going to be things like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not moving fast enough. I'm never going to be able to figure this out. So-and-so is smarter than me. All of those thoughts, I want you to write them down and put them on paper. The second thing is I want you to replace those thoughts with empathy. As if you were talking to your best friend. What would you say to her? If she was saying, I'm never going to be able to figure this out, would you say to her, of course you're not. You're stupid. You're never going to be able to figure this out. I don't think so. I hope you wouldn't talk to your best friend like that. What could you say to her that is compassionate and filled with empathy? You're doing a good job. You're using skills that you have. You are learning. You are growing. You're capable. You are going to figure this out. Okay? That is absolutely the first thing that you can do is recognize how you're talking to yourself and changing the narrative. And I have found that the easiest way to do that is to talk to yourself as if you are talking to your best friend. Now, this is very simple. That doesn't mean it's easy because we have had that background music playing for so long. That is where the challenge comes in. And that is also why those first 8 weeks are really intense because everything else, and there are 3 other pillars that I work with my clients on. There's a pillar of, so once you learn and work on this relationship to yourself, then we work, so that's the foundational work. Then we work on a relationship with others. We work on a relationship with time. And then we step into the leader that you want to be. So that's what I have for you today, ladies. I guarantee that doing this work, and it doesn't have to be going back to your childhood and deep diving into what happened. It's simply taking today and looking at what you are doing today and changing it little by little, day by day, week for week, week by week, because lasting transformation at work comes not only from strategies, it absolutely comes from the foundational work of how you think about yourself and how you decide to react, show up. And that is what I've got for you today. It is 100% possible. Start with the exercise that I gave you about just writing down the thoughts that you have and seeing, just changing one or two thoughts about yourself and about your capabilities, I guarantee will have a very positive impact at work and in life. That's what I've got for you today, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll talk soon.